In today's video, we're going to take a look at how we'll be submitting our PLC discussion guides this school year. As you know, each building has a faculty room that you are a student in. So once you enter your faculty room, you're going to want to go under the classwork tab to locate this PLC information. We're excited that this year our PLC template has been updated a little bit to keep the focus on learning and a collaborative culture, as well as being results oriented so that our teachers can really utilize that information for instruction. So you'll see there should be a PLC heading in your Google Classroom, and each department or grade level will have an assignment for PLCs in there. And the directions are there. They take you through the steps of how this work will be done. But let's take a look at what submitting PLC notes will look like this year. In order to start the process in your PLC group, when you're meeting, you'll want to come under templates and you'll see the PLC discussion guide template. So you'll simply make a copy and you're going to want to name it with the date of your PLC meeting as well as your grade level or content level. Make sure you're in your drive because you will be asked to upload a copy of your PLC notes into the assignment in the Google Classroom, and you could also share it with the other members of your team as well. So I'll save it here. And when I make a copy, now I have my own copy of PLC notes that we'll be working in. A lot of it might look familiar. Of course, you have the date. You want to put the members that are attending. And in your first meeting, just like always, you'll want to create your norms of how your PLC will function. Some of the really cool things are that now you're going to really have a focus to your work that you're completing in your monthly PLCs. So you'll recognize these 4 questions across the top. What do we want students to know and be able to do? How will we know if they have learned it? What will we do if they haven't learned it? And what will we do if they already know it? Those are our 4 PLC questions that we've been using. But you'll also notice that there are some bulleted pieces here under those questions to help guide that conversation and work once you've chosen your focus. So your PLC group will be asked to choose a focus. Where will your work be that month? And let's just say we're going to be focused on goals and expectations. Starting the year, we really want to take a look at our learning goals and our learning targets that we're going to be kicking off the year with. So my PLC group might go in and we might highlight goals and expectations. That's where our focus is. And then maybe even come down here and talk about some of the learning goals and targets. So maybe we'll highlight so that we can keep ourselves focused. There may be multiple, but just an idea. In here, you'll see a notes section. Once you've chosen your focus, now you want to really start work around that focus specifically. So you may be choosing learning goals and learning targets from the curriculum as an example. You may have multiple topics that you're discussing, especially if you are teaching multiple subjects. However, they could go on different lines here in the notes section. This piece is very important because this helps guide that discussion between our large group PLCs when we're in our smaller weekly meetings. So if we're going to be looking at learning goals and targets from the curriculum, some of the things we might be discussing and taking notes on are, how are we teaching this? Are the identified learning targets here to build proficiency towards the goal? What formative assessments do we need to build in to measure progress? Are there lessons that are ready that we can share? Are there resources that are ready, or do we need to find some resources? Again, some different discussion sample ideas here for you, depending on the focus that you've chosen. We're also going to ask that in this monthly PLC meeting, you choose some action steps to guide us through those next few meetings on our teams or in our smaller groups to keep that work going and really continue that discussion. So again, some action items might be examining student progress towards those learning goals. So we're going to decide that between now and our next PLC meeting, we're going to give students this agreed upon formative assessment to determine their progress. And we're going to come back and we're going to discuss, was it effective? Which resources were best? Do we need to go back to this? And have a real discussion around what our goal was that we set out to do. Again, this is for our whole team to continue that discussion that we start as a whole group. On the bottom, there's some more information for you. This is really just to help when we're talking about the assessment piece. What assessments are we using for what different goals? This right here will be important once we get to questions 2, 3, and 4 in order to know what are we teaching, what are we measuring, how are we meeting the needs of our students who aren't picking up on these different skills, and what about our students that already know these things? What direction are we going with that? Okay, now, once we've taken our notes, we're going to come back to the Google Classroom, and under classwork, now I want to go down to my assignment. And in here, you'll see on the right where I can add my work. So in my Google Drive, I'm going to add that, and then I'm going to turn it in. Next month, when we meet again, we can make a copy of the template. We can make a copy of the one we were just working on. But again, when we come in here to submit next month, we can unsubmit this just so that we'll be able to add another copy of your discussion guide and turn it in for your supervisor or principal to take a look at. Okay, if you have any questions about the new PLC discussion guide, feel free to reach out to your content supervisor or your building administrator, but hopefully this new PLC discussion guide will help bring a little bit more clarity, meaning, and focus to our weekly PLCs and really support the work that everyone does on a daily basis. See you soon.